Okay, YouTube, welcome back guys for part 2. This is tutorial part 2. This is where we left in part 1, and let's continue with our program. And let me show you one second. This is what we're building. Okay, comment system using PHP with MySQL database. This is like you put an article and now you have 9 comments. This is what we if you are new, okay, this is part 1. You should watch part 1. No, this is yeah, you should watch part 1 to understand what we're working on, but this is what we're building and this is where we left. Okay, and okay, let's move on. We don't need this anymore. This is where we left. Okay, now let's go back to our code. We did in the first tutorial we did index.html. Also we did style.css. Okay, we finished style.css right here. And now I want you to go to our main folder. Click on your main folder, right click on new file, and now I'm going to create config.php. Also we need a comment.php, but let's create first comment that PHP. Click enter, but okay, leave it there. I want you to go to your main folder again, right click, new file. Now I'm going to create a config.php. I want you to put config.php. Click enter. Okay, I have to code config.php first in order to comment before we go back to comment.php, because we will call config.php inside of comment.php. This is why we have to code config.php first. Okay, without further ado, let's get started. I'm going to say php, okay, like this. Okay, go inside. Now this is where I'm going to pass my database. I'm going to define, let me put it this way so that you can see what I'm doing. Okay, now I'm going to say define single quote db underscore host. Okay, and after the closing single quote, comma, space, no space, don't put space, single quote, put localhost. Okay, put a semicolon, next line, and let me comment each line for you. Now this is my going to pass database username. Okay, database username, I'm going to say define single quote, now db underscore user, and after the closing single quote, put a comma and put another single quote and put root. Okay, put a semicolon here, next line. Now this is I'm going to say database password. Okay, and define like this, single quote, I'm going to say db underscore pass. Okay, and put a comma, single quote, leave it blank. Okay, next line. Now I'm going to add my database name. Okay, I'm going to say define here single quote db underscore name, and go after the closing one, comma, a single quote. For database name, remember, let's go back, PHP management, our database name right here, let me show you. This is the name of our database name, advanced dash comments, right here. Okay, okay, this is it right here again, advanced comments. Okay, you can call it whatever you want. Let's go back. that's why I'm going to put advanced dash comments. This is the name. Okay, this is our database name. Okay, next line. Now this is where I'm going to put my this is database for the chart set, or in case if you check. Okay, let me put it this way. This is the database chart set. Okay, now I'm going to define. I'm going to say db underscore chart set, and for this reason we have to put a comma and a single quote UTF-8. Okay. Next line. At this time, this is the. Now I'm going to add for the admin. Now I'm going to let me pass my admin credential. Okay. Admin credential, and first thing admin credential, or can say for the username. Okay, and I'm going to define. I'm going to say define admin underscore user. Okay, like this, single quote, and you put admin. Okay. Next. Now I'm going to define stuff. This is for the admin password, not username. Admin password. I'm going to say define single quote admin underscore pass. Okay. Single quote again. Put admin. You can put whatever you want. For the password, you can set anything you want. Admin. Okay. I say username admin. For the admin and password admin, you can put anything you want. Okay. Next. At this time, I'm going to work on for the approval. For the approval requirement. Approval required for comment. Okay. Now, define single quote. I'm going to say comment underscore approval required. Okay. Approval required. Go after the closing single quote to the comma and put a false. Okay. And then next, pretty much last line, and this is for our default profile image. Yeah, let me pass it. Default profile image. Okay, and I'm going to say define like this, single quote. We need default this is the profile underscore image. Okay, go after the closing, put a comma, single quote, and put a default like this dash profile. This is the name of the this is the image name. Like this, profile dash image. This is how I'm going to name the image, that PNG. Okay, and put semicolon. Okay, now blend. Okay, this is done for config.php, and save everything. Click on save all. Okay, this is done for config.php. Now we need this name. This is a default profile image. It should be copy. It should be okay, PNG. Now let's go over here, open a new table browser. Go to your browser and type profile. Okay, okay, this is I'm going to say default and put profile image like this. Okay, now we have a lot. Now we can pick one of them and click on image. Okay, let's pick. Okay, I'm going to pick one. About this one, let me see. About this one, guys. About this one. Okay. Which one? You can pick anything you want. Okay, I'm going to pick this one. You click right click, copy image, go back, go to your inside of your main folder. This is my main folder right here. Okay, and right click, paste it, and click on rename. Rename. I'm going to call it default dash profile dash image. Okay, and click enter. This one is JPG. No. Okay, we don't need this one. Let's delete this one. Look for something else. It has to be okay. About this one, we can do right click, save image as. Okay, cancel. I like copy image, and go here, main folder, paste it. Okay, this is a PNG. This is good. Right click, rename. We already got default profile. Put dash image, add image, and then click enter. Okay, now you're done. Okay, let's go back to our code. Okay, now I'm going to create. This is now I want you to go to open. I want you to open comment. Okay, I want you to open comments.php right here. Open it. Now this is a comment.php part. Let's add some code inside of the comment.php. Remember I told you comment.php we have to include config.php inside of the comment.php for the communication. Okay. Now I'm going to say PHP like this. Okay. Go inside. Now I'm going to say include single quote. This is where I'm going to call config.php. But because I got the connection, I got a database connection inside of the config.php. This is where I'm got everything, all my connection. Okay. Now go to the next line. I'm going to create a try catch block. Try catch block. Okay, I want you to add. You can add PDO right here for me. One word, PDO exception, and here put an exception for me. Okay, like this, exception. Okay, and code here. Okay, now go inside the try block. $sign. I'm going to say PDO equal new PDO like this, single quote, MySQL colon host, okay, equal, and I want to go after the closing single quote, space, that space, I need a DB underscore host, space, that space, single quote, semicolon, DB name, okay, equal, and then now after equal, after this closing single quote here, go after the closing, put a space, that DB name, DB underscore name here, and put a space, put that space, single quote, semicolon, and I want you to put char set equal, okay. Now, and then after this closing single quote, put a space, that space, put db, db underscore char set, like this, put a comma. Okay, let me go to the next line so that you can see what I'm doing, and I'm going to cut it from here. Okay, now you see what I'm doing right now. Okay, now here after the char set, put a comma, space, space, put a db underscore user, comma, space, db underscore pass. Okay, bring this here and put a semicolon here. Okay, I want you to go to the next line. Go to the next line. Okay, $sign PDO set attribute like this, and I'm going to say PDO. Okay, that, okay, colon at underscore air mode, okay, comma, space, PDO air mode underscore exception. Okay, put a semicolon here, and now this is done. Let's go to our catch block. This is catch PDO exception. Now go here inside of the catch block. Now, in case if there is an error with the connection, I'm going to stop the script and display the error. This is okay. Let me write it down. If there is an error with the connection, okay, stop the script and display the error. Okay, maybe you got something else. This display. Okay, now guys, this is where I'm going to say exit, like this, single quote. This is my message, failed to connect to database. Okay, semicolon. Now, okay, this is bring this up. I want you to go after the closing catch. This is opening for the catch block, closing. Go next after the closing. This is a comment. This is where I'm going to call my write a function. That function will convert the time to time elapsed string. Okay, I'm going to say date time convert the time to time elapsed string. For this, I'm going to create a function time underscore elapsed underscore string. Okay, $sign. I'm going to say date time, comma, space, full equal false, like this, as a function. Okay, all right. Now inside of this function, I'm going to say $sign now equal new, okay, space, date time, like this, and ego equal new, space, date time, $sign date time, like this. Okay, put a semicolon here. Next line, this is I'm going to say diff for the difference equal $sign now div ego. Okay, put a semicolon. Next line. Next line. Now, let me see after div, another div. Okay. At this time, div w space floor div for d for day divided by 7. Okay. Day divided by 7. Div. Now d for day. Okay, space div at this time for week. Week times 7. Put a semicolon. Next line. Now I'm going to say now string equal array. Okay, single quote. Y for here. Go after the closing. Put it like this, and put a single quote. Put here, after, and put a comma here. Space. Single quote M for month. After the closing, like this. Space. Single quote, and put month. And put a comma here. Space. Single quote W for week. Okay, and put a single quote. Put week. Space. After week, put a comma. And space. Put a single quote D for day. Okay, space like this. Space single quote at day. And after day, put a comma. Now let's go to the next line. Okay, and put a single quote. Put H for hour. Go here. Okay, space. Single quote add hour. And after hour, put a comma. Space. Single quote I for minute. After minute, space. Now space single quote minute. And after minute, after closing minute, put single quote, put this comma, space, single quote S for second, like this, space, single quote, put second. Okay, this is done, this part. Okay, now I want you to go to the next line. Now this is where I'm going to use a for each loop. I'm going to loop each one of them. I'm going to use a for each loop. I'm going to say for each string as k, and now not value, but I'm going to say percent $ v for value. Okay, and now let me pass my code here. Okay, now we'll say if different $, if div k, okay, if div k, follow me closely guys, let me expand this so that you can see. Okay, if different k, like this. Now I'm going to say $v okay, v equals space div k space that single quote open it space that space v space that parentheses put okay div k space greater space 1 space question mark space, put a single quote and put S for second inside of it, and after the closing the closing single quote, put a space, put a colon, space, put a single quote, and put a semicolon at the end. Okay, now Now, after if, okay, now this is the opening bracket for if, this is the closing for if. Now I'm going to say else. Okay, else. Okay, else if something else. Now, else onset. I'm going to onset the string for k, $sign k. Okay. Put a semicolon here. Okay, we have here. Now, remember we have, follow me guys. After one, this is the closing for else. This is the closing for each. After the closing for each, let me come. I can comment this for you. Oh no. Okay, this is end of for each. Okay, after the closing for each right here, I want you to go next. Bring this down like this. Okay, now I'm going to say if like this, if not full $sign. If not full, okay, string equal array underscore slice. I want to slice the string. Okay, comma space 0 comma. Okay, like this. Put a semicolon. Go to the next line, and I have to return my string. Question mark, and I'm going to say implode parentheses single quote comma. Okay, space, and I want to put after the closing single quote, put a comma, put a space, and put string. After string, the parentheses, the closing one, put a space, that single quote space, ego. Okay, like this. And after the closing for ego, put a space, put a colon, space, put a single quote. I want you to put just now, and put a semicolon at the end. Okay. Now, I can bring this up. Okay. Now I want you to go after this closing. After this closing, this is where I'm going to write a function. This function will show the comment. This function will show the comment. I'm going to say function show underscore show comment parentheses $sign comment comma space, and I'm going to say comment at this time. Follow me guys. This is now the first comment without s, the second comment with an s. Okay, and space equal bracket. After the bracket, put a comma, space, and now I'm going to say filters equal bracket, and as a function I have to put this. Okay, now this is where I'm going to convert each new line, okay, to a break, and the space special character as well. Okay, now for this I'm going to say content equal, yeah, this is how you do it, LA2BR, and parentheses HTML special chart, and put a semi parentheses again. Now I'm going to call my comment bracket. Okay, inside the bracket put a semicolon, a single quote, and put content. After the closing bracket, put a comma, space, and this is where I'm going to call and quote. Okay, now and put a semicolon here. Go to the next line. Now next line of code, this is where I'm going to allow the HTML tag Okay, this is where I'm going to allow HTML tag. I'm going to say allow HTML tags. Okay, allow HTML tags. Okay, I'm going to say use the same comment equal str string underscore I replace. Like this, I replace parentheses. Now I want you to open this for me. Open it, bring down, and start. Okay, not comments. I'm sorry, guys. Okay, I got content. This is instead of comment, I want you to put content. This is content, not comment. String I replace. Okay. Now, and inside of I want you to see what I'm doing. Let me bring this up again. After string underscore I replace, I put a parentheses, and I click enter, bring down. Now inside of it, I'm going to add my first bracket, and instead of my bracket, I put a single quote. Now I'm going to say ampersand LT, okay, semicolon, I ampersand GT, okay, follow me, semicolon. Now, after the closing single quote, let me extend this so that you can see what I'm doing. After the closing single quote, I'm going to put comma, space, single quote, ampersand LT, semicolon, / I percent GT, okay? And after the closing one, I put a comma, space, single quote, ampersand LT, okay? Semicolon. Now I'm going to say B ampersand GT, okay? Put a semicolon. Okay. Now, after the closing one, I want you to put, okay. After the closing one, I want you to put a comma for me, space, okay, and put a single quote. Now, I'm going to start with ampersand, LC, semicolon, U, ampersand, okay, GT, like this, put a semicolon, and after the closing, I want you to put a comma for me, and space, single quote, ampersand LC, no, ampersand LC, like this, semicolon, / U, ampersand GT, semicolon, okay, and after the closing one, put a comma. Okay, I put a comma, and I want you to go to the next line so that you can see. I call it here. Okay. Okay, let me do this so that you can see. Okay. Okay, go to the next line. I want you to bring this down. Okay. I want you to bring this down. Now, next, after the comma, here is the comma, and I bring this down. Now, a single quote. Okay, put a single quote. Now I'm going to start with ampersand LC, semicolon, / U, ampersand GT, semicolon. And after the closing one, I want you to put a comma, space, single quote, ampersand, okay, ampersand LC, semicolon, put code ampersand GT, okay, semicolon. Now after the closing single quote here, put a comma, space, put a single quote again, ampersand LC, semicolon, / put code ampersand GT, put semicolon, okay, and after the closing, put a comma. After the closing, put a comma, put a comma space. Now put a single quote, ampersand, LC, semicolon, put pre, ampersand, GT, semicolon. After the closing one, I want you to put a comma again and bring this down, okay? And now put a semicolon, not semicolon, sorry, put a single quote. I want you to put a single quote, ampersand LC, semicolon, forward slash, put pre, ampersand, GT, semicolon. And then bring this close. And after the closing bracket, I want you to put a comma. Now, and I want you to go to the next line. Go down. And I want you to open it under the bracket for me. And inside of it, put your first single quote. And put I, like this. Okay? And after the closing one, I put a comma, space, single quote. Put another, now put the closing I. Here's the closing I. Okay, after the closing I as well, I want you to put a comma, space, single quote. Now I want B, like this. Put a comma here, space. Okay. Comma, okay. Now, comma, space for B. And now put a single quote. Now for the closing B. Okay. And after the closing, put a comma, space, single quote. Now, this is for you. Comma, space, single quote. This is the closing U. Okay. And do the same thing, comma, space, single quote. Now, I want you to put code, close it. Put a comma, space, single quote. Now, this is the closing code. Okay. Now, after quote, put a comma and bring this down. Okay. Let's bring this down and then let's continue. Now, put a single quote. I want you to put a pre like this. Close it and put a comma here, comma space, and single quote. This is the closing pre. Okay. Close it here, and I want you to put a comma after the closing here and go to the next line, and I want you to put now put content, not comment, $sign content for me like this, and I want you to put the semicolon here after the closing parenthesis. Remember, is the opening parenthesis, is the closing parenthesis. Okay, for the content here, for content string I replace. Okay. Now go after the closing parenthesis here. This is where I'm going to apply the filters. Okay. This is where I'm going to apply the filters. For this, I'm going to use a if. I'm going to use a if statement. I'm going to say if. Okay. If $sign filters as a, okay, like this. If filters $sign content equal str string, okay, I replace parentheses array underscore column parentheses again filters, okay, comma, space, single quote, word. Okay. Now, I want you to go after the closing parenthesis, this one, put a comma here, and put a space, put array underscore colon, okay, put a parenthesis again, $sign filters, okay, and after filters put a comma, space, single quote, replacement. Okay, now this is the closing for replacement. I want you to go here for this parenthesis, I want you to go here, put a comma and space, add content, and I want you to put a semicolon here. Okay. Now bring this down, next line, and this part is done. For filter, bring this up. Let me do it this way so that you can see. Bring this up. Okay, let me bring this like this. Okay, so that you can see. Okay. It kind of small, but you can see now. Okay, now I want you to know this is the if filters. This is the bracket, opening bracket for filter. This is the closing bracket. I want you to go after the closing bracket for filters. This is where I'm going to put my comment template. Comment. My comment template will go here. For this, I'm going to say $HTML equal single quote, and I want you to bring one of the single quote down like this. Bring it down. Let me expand this to see. I want you to see what I'm doing. Let me start over. Okay. I say $HTML equal single quote, and I bring this down. Okay. And go inside. I want you to go inside, and say, I'm going to say I'm going to pass a div like this. Okay, this is my div, and let me put the closing div. Okay, here's the closing one. Okay, this is div, opening, closing. Okay, inside the first one, I'm going to pass a class div class equal single quote, double quote, sorry, comment. I call it comment, and go inside. I'm going to create another div. Okay, I'm going to create this is the closing, the opening. Now here's the closing. Okay, and inside of the first one, add the class equal double quote. I call it img. This is for image. Okay, and inside of this one, let me go inside of it. Okay, this is what I'm going to say image like this. Follow me, guys. I want you to follow me. I'm going to say image src for the source equal the source where double quote, and I want you to follow me here. Inside of the double quote, I'm going to say single quote, and I open after the single quote. After the single quote, I say space, dot, space, parentheses, not empty. If my image source is not empty, parentheses again, $, comment, bracket, single quote, img for image, and I want to go after the closing parentheses. This one, this is the closing part. I want you to put space and semicolon, no question mark, and put a space, and I'm going to say HTML special char. After HTML special char, I put the parentheses again, and instead of this parenthesis, I put comment. This is comment. Now, and inside after comment, I'm going to put a bracket, single quote, img for image. Okay, and after the closing bracket here, I'm going to put a comma, space. Okay, and now I'm going to put end. This is end quote right here. Okay, and after the closing, after end quote, the closing parenthesis here. This is it. After the closing parenthesis here, I'm going to say space and bring this down like this, or I can call it. Let me call it here for you. I can export it here. Okay, let me bring this. Okay, let me bring this after the quote. Okay, okay, now you can see what I'm doing. Okay guys, now okay, okay, comment, this is the rest of it. Okay, after comment you put the brackets, single quote inside of it, put image. After the closing, put the comma, space, end quote. After the end quote, put a space, colon, space, and now I'm going to say default yeah, profile image. Okay, this is where I call it. Okay, like this. And after the closing, here for default profile image, put a space, put that space. Okay, and this is where I'm going to leave my closing single quote here and my closing double quote. After the closing single quote and closing double quote here, and I'm going to say space. I'm going to put the width, okay, equal double quote. It's supposed to be 48, like this. And after I go after, and I'm going to say for the height, the height should be equal same size for the 48, and alt equal double quote comment profile image, like this. And okay, this is for, remember guys, we're working with image. This is the div for the image. This is the opening div. This is the closing div. Remember, this is image. This is where the tag for image. This is where image is open. We have to close it. We're done with image. This is this block of code right here. Let me show you. This block of code. This is the closing. Okay. Now I have to close it like this. Oops. Okay. This is how we close it. Okay. You close it like this. Okay. Because this is the opening. Let me show you again. This is the opening here, and this is the closing here. Okay. Okay. Now I make it smaller. I make it smaller so that you can see. This is the image. This is the block of code right here. Okay. Now I got something left. Okay, yes. I have here for HTML single quote. It's okay. That's fine. Now, what I want you to do, I want you to go. This is the div for image, the opening, the closing. After the closing div, I'm going to create another div. I said div. Okay. Div. This is the opening. Let me put the closing for you. This is the opening, this is the closing. Now I'm going to go inside of it. Let me go inside of it. But for the first one, I'm going to add a class as a class equal double quote. I call it con. Okay. Let me increase this so that you can see what I'm doing. Okay. And inside of this class, this div class con, I go inside of it. I'm going to create another div for the open. Let me create the closing part. Okay. Open, close. Okay. Now I leave this one like this, and I have to go inside of it, and I'm going to put create my header. I call it h3 and space. I say class equal double quote. I call the class name. Okay. For the h3, yeah, I have to put. Let me cut this. Let me start over. Yeah, h should be inside of the. For h3, yeah, I say h3 class equal double quote name. Okay, and I close it. Close h3. Okay. Now this is where I bring my. Let me track this. my closing single quote. Let me track it. This is the opening, this is the closing part. Okay, h3 class equal double quote name, and after name, now this is where I want you to put a single quote, add a single quote here, and inside the single quote put space, that space, and I'm going to say HTML special charge. Okay, and put a parentheses, comment bracket. Inside of the bracket put a single quote and put name. Okay, and after the closing bracket I want you to put a comma, space, and this is end quote. After the end quote, the closing parenthesis here, I want you to put a space, put that. Okay, and now this is where I'm going to close h3, and I have to close, I'm going to close h3, and after the closing single quote here. Okay, now this is closing h3, I close h3. Okay, now I close h3, guys. Okay, I close h3. Now after that, I want you to go to the next line. I close h3. Now I'm going to create a span like this. Okay, this is the opening span, and this is the, let me add the closing after it. Okay, is the opening, this is the closing. Now what I'm going to do, okay, inside of it I'm going to say I'm going to add a single quote, okay, from the middle, but the first thing, okay, I go inside of it, I'm going to add a class, as a class equal double quote date. Let me extend this so that you can see what I'm doing. Okay, I put date here. Now this is the single quote, and inside the single quote I'm going to say space, that space, and I'm going to say time elapsed string, parentheses, and $sign, comment, brackets, single quote, and this is for the submit underscore date. Okay, and after the closing parentheses here, I want you to go and put a space, put it that, okay, space, and then this is the closing span. Leave it like this, go after it, go to the next line. Let me, okay, next line. Now after span, now I can bring this div up, the closing div. Okay, let me bring this up. Okay, this is the closing for this one. Let me bring, okay, okay, this is the for this part, this for this, and let me bring this down, put it like this so that you can see it. Okay, this for this. Okay, let me fix it. H3. Okay, now it's better. Okay, now it's better. This for this, this for this. Okay, now what I want you to do after the closing div, okay, this is span right here. After the closing div, this part, this block of code, I want you to go next after this one. Okay, this is where I'm going to pass a phrase. I'm going to say P like this. Okay, is the opening P, is the closing P. Okay, and let me put it this way, put this down, and inside the first one I'm going to pass a class. I'm going to pass a class double quote. I call it comment underscore content. Okay, and inside of the P, I put a single quote, space, that space, $sign content. space that space, leave it like this. Now I want you to go to the next line for me, like this. Put a single quote, okay? Single quote space that space, parentheses at this time, $, comment, bracket, single quote approve for the approved, and after the closing bracket, I want you to put space, put a question mark, space, single quote like this, and after the single quote space, put a colon, space, single quote. Now I'm going to put a B for this is now I'm going to add a break like this. This is a break, and the line, and after I, let me expand this so that you can see what I'm doing. After I, I'm going to put a parentheses, everything approval, and close I. After the closing parentheses, I want you to close I like this. Okay. Now after the closing parentheses, this one here, I want to go and put a space, put a dot, space for me, and it is the closing P. Okay. Now after P, closing P, I want you to go to the next line and create a div. This is the opening div, and this is the closing div. Okay. Go inside of it, and inside of the first one, I'm going to pass a class equal double quote. I call it comment underscore footer. Comment underscore footer, and go inside of it. I'm going to pass a span. This is opening span, and this is the closing. Okay. Is the opening, is the closing. I want to go inside of the, okay, bring this down. Okay, go inside of it, and for the first span, add a class. Okay, let me add a class called double quote norm. Okay. Now, okay, let me bring this pen up. Okay, right here is the span. Inside the first one, I add a class called norm, and from the middle, I put a single quote, space, that space. I call comment, bracket, single quote, vote, like this. And after the closing bracket, I'm going to say space, that space. Okay, this is the closing span. All right, this part is done. I want to go to the next line. Like, okay. I'm going to create add an anchor tag like this. Okay. A href equal double quote, and leave it like this. Add a class. I'm going to say class equal vote. I call the class vote. Okay. And after that, I'm going to say data vote. Okay. Equal double quote up, space, data comment ID equal. Now after here, when I reach here, let me show you. Let me expand this. After data comment ID, I say equal double quote and a single quote, double quote, single quote, and I expand. I say space, that space, and I say comment. Okay, bracket, single quote ID. Now after the closing quote, after the closing bracket here, I'm going to say space, that, and now I have to close the anchor tag. I have to close it here. I have to close it. Okay. Okay. I think you see what I'm doing right now. let me put it this way. Okay. Now, guys, next what I'm going to do, I want you to go to the next line. Okay, go to the next line, and I'm going to say I class equal double quote arrow up like this and close. Okay, the closing I. Okay. For anchor tag, we need the closing anchor tag. This is the opening. This like the opening anchor tag. We need the closing anchor tag like this. Okay, this is the closing. This is the opening. This is the closing anchor tag for I, opening, closing I. Okay. Now, after the closing anchor tag, go to the next line, add another one again, and go inside of it, put the closing straight. Okay, this is the closing. Okay, we don't have to forget. Now, I'm going to say href equal double quote. Okay, like this. Let me expand this so that you can see what I'm doing. Okay. And next, after that, I want you to create a class double quote. I want to call it vote. Okay. And go next. I'm going to say data vote equal double quote. At this time, the first one, oh, I'm sorry, the first one is date. It's not date. Put data. Replace it by data. It's not date here. It's data. Okay, guys. Okay. This is vote. Data vote. It was up. The first one is up. Now we have to put down. Okay. And space data comment ID. Data comment ID equal. Now I want you to follow me, guys. Put a double quote and put a single quote and space dot space $sign comment bracket single quote ID. Okay, and after the closing bracket, put a space dot, and we have this is the okay, this is anchor tag. Okay, and inside of the anchor tag, from the middle, we can go to the next line. Let me put it smaller. Yeah. Okay, is the first one. We got I inside of it. Okay, I inside of the anchor tag, and this is the second one. Bring this down and let put I inside of it like this. I, and is the closing I. Okay, and go first one. I'm going to say class equal double quote arrow up. No, this one, no, it should be arrow down. Okay, and close it. Let me do this. Okay, now you see what I'm doing right now. Yeah, closing anchor tag. Okay. Now next, go to the next line. Add another one anchor tag A, like this. Put the closing, and inside the first one, we can bring it like this. Do it like this. The first one, class equal. Okay, double quote. I'm going to call it reply underscore comment underscore btn. Okay, and go after the closing single quote. Go next, space href equal single quote double quote. Sorry. Okay, let me expand this. Go next. I'm going to say data data comment ID, okay, equal double quote and a single quote inside of it, space, dot, space, and I call comment, bracket, single quote. At this time I'm going to say ID, and after the closing here, same thing, space, dot, space, and let me make this one smaller. I want you to see what I'm doing. Make it okay. And here this is done. And inside of the closing anchor tag, inside of this tag, opening, closing, I want you to add something. I'm going to put reply. Okay. I'm going to put it, or I can put it this way. Okay, is the block of code. Okay, right here. All right. Now next, what I'm going to do. This is the this div we after reply. This is the closing div. This is the closing div. Let me put this closer for you. Okay. I want you to go after reply inside of the anchor tag. This is the closing div. This closing div, go next after it to the next line. Go to the next line. Put a single quote for me and space, dot, space. Now I'm going to say show underscore write underscore comment underscore form parentheses comment bracket single quote ID, and after the closing bracket put a space, dot, space. That's no, after the after the closing parentheses here, comment ID. After the closing parentheses, put it go to the put a space, dot, space. Okay, and here's bring this up, this closing div. I want you to bring this up for me. Okay. Now, next after this line of code, inside you got single quote, show write comment form, comment ID. After the closing single quote, this one, go to the next line, like this. I want you to go to the next line and create a div. Add a div like this. I'm going to say div, and let me put the closing div. This is the closing. Okay, and go to, bring down, and I'm going to pass a class equal double quote. I'm going to call it replies. Okay, and inside of this div, go inside of it. Inside of this div, I'm going to say single quote, space, dot, space, show underscore show comment. At this time, I'm going to put comment, not comment, comment with an S, parentheses, dollar sign, comment, okay, space, dollar sign, filters, comma, space. Now I call comment. Now this the first one is comment. This one is comment, bracket, single quote, ID. And after the closing parentheses, space, dot, space, okay? And here's the closing div for that. This is a block of code. Okay. And then let's bring this up. This div. I want you to bring this up for me and bring down up as well. And remember we have this is the closing. This is the closing single quote. Okay, from above. Let's bring this up. This one goes after this closing div, and I want you to put a semicolon here and save everything. Okay, let's continue, guys. I want you now, next after that, go to the next line. This is where I'm going to say return everything. Return HTML, dollar sign HTML, and put a semicolon as well. Okay, and bring this up for me, the closing. tag right here. Go next after that. Now, this is where I'm going to create a function. This function will show comment. Okay? Function show underscore comment. Okay? Parentheses. $sign. $sign comment filters, and I'm going to say parent underscore ID space equal -1 as a function. Okay, and inside of my function I'm going to call same thing, pretty much same thing. I'm going to call HTML equal space. At this I'm going to say single quote, and after the single quote I'm going to put a semicolon and go to the next line. Go to the next line, and I'm going to say if, okay, if, now, if parent ID not equal to -1, okay, array, okay, I got yeah, array multi-sort like this, array colon parentheses and comment space single quote submit date. Okay, and after the closing parenthesis, this one put a comma space, and this is where I'm going to say sort underscore ascendant ASC comma, okay, space, put comment and put a semicolon at the end. Okay, okay, now okay, this close here, this is the opening for if, this is the closing for if. Now I want you to go next after that. This is the end of if. Go to the next line. Now this is where I'm going to use a for each loop, for each comment as for each comment as comment. And let me pass my code here. I'm going to say HTML space that equal space show comment parentheses comment comma comments. Okay guys, now the first one is comment, the second one is comments with an S space and filters semicolon. Okay, this for each loop is done, and after the closing here, remember this is the end of, this is end of function. After the end of, after that, after the second one, at the end of function, let me see if probably this one, okay, for this for if, okay, if for, okay, oh, let me, I'm trying to, okay, we need okay, we need, this is the end of, yes, this is end of function, open bracket, this is the closing. Okay, this is good. Okay, what I want you to add something for me, guys. This is a for each. After here, for each comment as a comment is the opening bracket. I want you to go next, go inside of it after under this line, and I want you to add another line of code, or maybe what I'm going to do to make it easier for you, I'm going to comment this line of code, and let me add this one first. I'm going to say if, okay, $, comment, if comment, not comment, if comment, okay, bracket single quote, parent underscore ID, like this. After the closing bracket, space, equal, space, $, parent ID, okay, as if, put it, okay, put it like this. Now, I'm going to take this line of code and code it, put it inside here, uncomment it, okay. I put it right for you. Now you can see, now you got three closing, 1, 2, 3, okay. And after the second closing, 1, 2, after the second one, I want you to go next, and this is where I'm going to say return my HTML and semicolon. Okay, this part is done. Now this is the, okay, I want you to go next, skip it. I want you to skip a line. Now I'm going to use another function. I'm going to use this function. Now the first function is where is the first function? Yes, the first function is show comment. Okay, now this function will show write comment form. Okay, I'm going to say function show underscore write comment form parentheses, and I'm going to say parent ID space equal space -1, like this. As a function, I put this, and I call my HTML equal space single quote, bring it down for me, and go inside of it. And this is now I'm building the form for the comment, the form, and let me say I'm going to say div opening closing div, and I want you to bring the closing down, go inside of this div. This is where I'm going to create my form. Okay, this is the form, opening form. This is the closing form. Okay, now inside of this div here, pass a class equal double quote. I want you to call that class write underscore comment. Okay, and after closing double quote space, put data dash comment ID equal double quote, and add a single quote inside of it, space, that space, called parent ID, space, that, okay, leave it like this. Okay, let me increase this. Okay, now for form, I want you to go inside of the form. Now this is where I'm going to create my first input. Let me close it here and go inside of it. I'm going to say input name equal double quote. Okay, input name equal double quote. I'm going to call it parent underscore ID, like this, and go next. Go to type equal double quote hidden, like this, and space for value equal double quote, and add a single quote inside of it, and space, that space, call parent ID, space, that space, leave it like this. I want you to go to the next line for me. Now what you can do, we can copy, oh, okay, let me just write it down. For input, go next input, name equal double quote name. Okay, the first name is parent ID. Now this name is name. Type equal text. Type text, and we need a placeholder equal double quote your name, and go next after that. Your name, I'll put it like this. Okay, your name, and should be required. Okay. Go to the next line. Now this is where I'm going to create my text area. Okay, I'm going to say text area, and this is the closing text area. This is the closing, and go to the inside of the first one. Let me bring this down to make sure. I want you to see what I'm doing. The first one, go inside of it. Go name equal double quote. I'm going to call it content. Placeholder equal double quote. I'm going to call it write your comment here. Okay. Also, it should be required, and close text area. I can bring this down like this. Okay. Now, here's my form. This is go to the after the closing text area. Next, I need another input. Okay, and I'm going to say name equal for the image underscore URL. Okay, type equal double quote type URL, and for placeholder it should be photo icon URL, and I put this is optional. This is optional. Okay. This is optional. And next, and we need a button. We need the button opening. This is the closing button. And for the first one, I'm going to say for button type equal double quote button submit. I call it submit. Okay. And from the middle here, and this is where I pass I say submit. Okay. And bring this div up. Okay. And the single quote, and put a semicolon after the single quote, the closing single quote. For this is the opening, this is the closing, put a semicolon. Okay, and after the the closing single quote, I'm going to say return. I have to close the HTML because I open it here and pass all my code, and I have to return HTML to close it. Okay. Now, after this closing tag here, I want you to go next, and this is where I'm going to use for the. I need the page ID. Okay. Page ID needs to exist, as it is used to determine which comments are for which page. This is what I'm going to do right now. And for this, I'm going to say if set and $ underscore. I'm going to use this is a get method. Okay, get bracket single quote, get page ID underscore ID. Okay, as a if, and let me bring this up for you. Okay, now this is where I have to retrieve the filters. For this, I'm going to say $ retrieve filters $ statement, okay, equal PDO prepare parentheses single quote select everything from filters. Okay, next line. And now I have to execute my statement. I'm going to say statement execute like this and put a semicolon. Next line. And now I have to call filters equal statement. I have to ask the filter to the statement to check, to fetch, okay, to fetch all and PDO okay, PDO fetch. Oh, okay, now okay, this is fine. Now what if the user submit the now if okay if the user submit the form, the right form, this is what's gonna happen. Okay, now this is why I'm going to say if parentheses $post bracket single quote name, and I want you to go after. Now if he said post name, if you said post name, I want you to go after here, after the closing bracket. Okay, put a comma space, and within the post method bracket single quote content, go after the closing one, put a comma space, put a post bracket single quote put a parent ID. Okay, I'll do the same thing, single quote comma, sorry, I said single quote, sorry, it's a bracket single quote. After the closing bracket, put a comma and put a space. This is the post method bracket single quote, and after the image underscore URL. Okay, and now okay, let me make it smaller so that you can see. Okay, now this is where I'm going to insert a new comment. For this, I'm going to say statement equal PDO prepared parentheses single quote insert for me into comment. Insert for me into comment. Comment, this is one of our table. We have two tables, one comment, one called comment, the other one called let's see, let me double check. One, yes, this is our first table called comment. Yes, our first table called comment, and our second table called filters. Okay, and let's go back. Our table called comment. Okay, insert into comment page insert. I want to insert page ID, comma, parent ID, comma, name, comma, content, comma, also submit date, comma, img image, comma, and approved. Okay. After the closing parentheses, let me make this. I'm going to make this smaller, or let me cut it somewhere. Let me cut it here. Still not okay. Okay, let me cut it. I'm going to cut it here. Okay, let me cut it for you. Okay, this is okay now. And after the closing parenthesis here, I want you to say space and values parentheses, question mark, comma, question mark, comma, question mark, comma, and put another question mark, and put a comma, and I want you to put now, capitalize, like this, parentheses. Okay, and after the parentheses, after now, I want you to put a comma, question mark, comma, question mark. And after the last one here, I want you to put a semicolon. Okay, I want to go to the next line. Now, this is where I'm going to say, okay? Now this is what I'm going to say, work with, I'm going to say approved equal comment approval required, space, question mark, 0 space, colon, 1, semicolon. Next line. Now I'm going to say my statement, I have to execute everything. Statement execute parentheses, bracket, okay? Get, bracket again, parenthesis, single quote, page ID, and I want to go to the, this is the bracket for page ID. Go after that, put a comma space, $ post, okay? Put a bracket, single quote, parent ID, okay? And after the closing here, put a comma. I need to put a comma, space, post method, bracket, single quote, put name, put a comma, space, okay? $ post, and put a bracket, single quote. At this time I'm going to put content, put a comma here. Now let me call it here. Oops, move this. Let me call it here so that you can see what I'm doing. Okay, after the comma, after content, space, the post method, bracket, single quote, image URL, okay, comma, space. Now I'm going to put approved, okay, and put a semicolon here. Okay, you pretty much see. Okay, now let's go. I want you to go to the next line for me. Okay. Okay, now this is where I'm going to retrieve my comment. I'm going to say retrieve the comment. For this I'm going to use my statement equal PDO prepared parenthesis single quote. I'm going to say select everything from my my table called comment, where ID equal question mark. Okay. Next line. Now I have to execute my statement. My statement execute. Okay. Parentheses bracket. Statement execute parentheses bracket. Dollar sign PDO, and after PDO last insert ID, capital, last insert ID, like this, parentheses, okay, and put a semicolon here. Go to the next line. I want you to go to the next line. Now I'm going to say comment equal my statement. Now I'm going to fetch everything. Fetch PDO. Okay. Okay, now after adding all this code, this is where I'm going to bring all my output. Now this is where I'm going to this is output. Now this is where I'm going to output the comment. Okay, by first let me exit show comment parentheses comment. Okay, and bring this up for me. Okay, and this is one of the closing. Okay, and bring this down. After that, okay, this is close. Go to the next line. Now this is where if the user clicks on of the vote button. Now in case if the user click, this is how I'm going to call it, say vote button. It should add the number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and so on. And I'm going to say if, okay, if is set parentheses dollar sign get bracket single quote vote, and put a comma space get bracket single quote. This time I need comment ID. Okay, and put okay. Now this is where I'm going to check if the cookie exists for this comment. Okay, cookie exists for this comment. I'm going to say if not is set parentheses. Okay, cookie bracket single quote vote underscore. Follow me, guys. After the closing single quote inside of the bracket, I say space. Let me explain this so that you can see what I'm doing. Space, dot space, get bracket single quote comment ID. Okay, I put here. Okay, as I reach here, what I'm going to say, I'm going to use now if cookie does not exist, update the vote column and increment or decrement the value when the user click on the button on the vote button. Okay. Now for this I'm going to use my statement. Okay, I'm going to use a statement. Okay, statement equal PDO prepare parentheses single quote update for me, update comments. This is the our table. Update our table and set it to vote equal vote. Okay, space, and go after the closing single quote, put it that space parentheses get bracket single quote, put vote. Okay, and after the closing here, I want you to put a space equal space single quote up. This is the shape. It should be we call it a caret. It should be up, and after the closing up, put a space, question mark, space, single quote, put a sign plus inside of the single quote, and put a space, colon, space, single quote. Here, negate minus. Okay, and this is done. Now, is the first closing parenthesis. This closing parenthesis, I want you to go next after that for me. Okay, I want you to go next after that. Up, okay. I want you to go here after the closing, the first closing parenthesis, this one. And go after that, say space, that space, okay? And single quote, space one, space, where, let me bring this, make it smaller for you. Not too small, okay? And I say where, okay? Where ID equal question mark, and then put a semicolon. This is done. Okay. Okay. You can see the line of code. Okay, put a semicolon here. Now, I want to go to the next line. Now, statement. Now I have to execute my statement. Okay, statement execute, parentheses, bracket, get, bracket single quote, comment underscore ID, and remember we have two, expand one, and put a semicolon here. Let me increase this. You can see what I'm doing. Okay. Now, next line. Now, as we set, I set a vote cookie in case this will prevent the user. For the cookie, I set cookie just to prevent the users from voting multiple times on the same comment. So the cookie will expire. I mean, this cookie will expire in 10 years, guys. Okay. Let me put it. Okay, cookie. Okay, I'm going to say set cookie. Okay. I'm going to put it this way: set cookie to prevent user from voting. Okay, put it multiple time. Okay, now I'm going to say set cookie, okay, parentheses, single quote, vote underscore, okay, like this, and go next after the closing single quote, space, that space, and get bracket single quote, comment ID, not comment I will require. It's supposed to be comment ID, and go after the closing parenthesis bracket, put a comma, space, single quote. I said the cookie should be true, and go here, put a comma, space, time, parentheses, and space plus space, parentheses, 10 time. Remember I told you the cookie will set it, the cookie will expire. The cookie will expire in 10 years. 10 time 365 days. Time. This is 24 times 60, and time 60. And I want you to, and after the time, let me see, time, we say set cookie. This is the vote, okay. Okay, we need one more closing, because we say let me do put it smaller. We need one because we say set cookie parentheses. Where's the closing okay, we need one more closing parentheses. We need one more closing for vote here. This is the opening. This parentheses open here. As you can see, this is opening. This is the closing. We need a closing for this one. This is the opening. We need a closing. Let me put it. Okay, this is the closing. Let me put this way. You can see. This is the opening. This is the closing. This is the closing. This is the opening. Okay. Now, I want you to go to the this parentheses 10 times 265 times 24 times 60 times 60. Go here and put a comma space and put a single quote for me, and put it backslash, not forward slash, just a backslash. Oh, this is the forward slash, sorry. This is a forward slash, and put a semicolon here. Okay. Let me make this one smaller so that you can see. Okay. Now, and this parenthesis, okay, this one, this is if for the cookie. This is the opening, this is the closing. Go after this one. Okay. This is end of this for the cookie. Okay, this is the end of cookie. Okay, now guys, this is where I'm going to retrieve the number of vote from the comment table. This is where I'm going to retrieve the number of vote. Okay, for this I'm going to use my statement. I'm going to say statement equal PDO prepared parentheses single quote, and select for me vote from my table comment where ID equal question mark. Okay, and put a semicolon here. Go to the next line. I'm going to say statement execute like this, parentheses bracket. Okay, and I'm going to say get bracket single quote comment ID. Okay, and I want you to put a semicolon here. Go to the next line. Let me explain this so that you can see what I'm doing. Okay, go to the next line. Now I'm going to call comment, which is comment equal statement fetch video fetch. Okay, semicolon, next line. Now this is I have to output the vote. Output the vote. Okay, and I'm going to say exit comment. Exit comment, bracket, single quote, vote, and semicolon. Now this part is closed with this closing here. Okay, and after this closing, go next. Now if the limit variable exists, now add the limit clause to the SQL statement. This is this part. I'm going to work with this part right now. Okay, now if the limit, I don't have to work. Okay, now I'm going to say comment per pagination page equal is set parentheses get bracket, single quote, comment to show. Okay, and go next after the closing here, space, question mark, space, get. Okay, now bracket, single quote, comment to show. Okay, and after the closing comment to show, put a colon, space, 30, and go to the next line. Let me make this smaller. Okay, so that you can see. Okay, now guys, go to the next line. I'm going to say limit equal is set parentheses get bracket, single quote, current pagination, get current pagination page, space, okay, single quote, limit current pagination page, okay, and go after the closing, single quote, space, colon, space, single quote, and I put a semicolon here. Go to the next line. Now this is where, guys, by default, this is our order by this subnetted. And this is where I'm going to say by the newest, oldest, and so on for the comment. And that's why I'm going to say sort by, yeah, sort by equal single quote, order by vote descendant, okay, submit date, okay, a semicolon. Next line. Let me expand this so that you can see what I'm doing. Next line. Now I'm going to say if is set parentheses get bracket, single quote, sort by, okay, okay. Now if the user has changed the sort by, like choosing what you want. And for this, let me add something. User has changed the sort by. Now I'm going to say sort by equal get, okay, bracket single quote, sort by, okay, and go next after that, equal space single quote. I'm going to say newest space question mark space single quote, order by submit date, okay, colon space, now sort by, okay, now put a semicolon. Next line, we can copy and paste. Let's copy this line of code and we can make some changes, okay, and paste it here. Now the sort by get, sort by, okay, let me put oldest, okay, order by submit date. Now it should be like this, ASD ascending, sort by, okay, go to the next line. We can do the same thing, paste it, okay. Now this is remove it, put vote, okay, order by submit date. This one not submit date, remove this, order by or not submit date, order by vote, okay, and then after that put a comma here, okay, after a vote, and put a comma. Let me explain this, okay, put a comma here, space, put submit date, and okay, and submit date space, put the Senate again, DSC, okay, okay, sort by, semicolon, okay. This part is done. Okay, now, okay, this is the closing. If is set, this is the opening, this is the closing. Go next after the closing. Now this is where I'm going to get all my comments by the page ID, order by the submit date. Okay, I'm going to say get, okay, get all comments by the page ID. Okay, and for this I'm going to say statement equal PDO prepare parenthesis single quote, select everything from my table name comment, where page ID equal colon page ID, and concatenate and approved should be equal 1, okay, space, and after the closing single quote here I want you to go space, that space, sort by, put sort by, and space, that space, single quote, expand it, go after the closing single quote space, that space, limit, okay, and put a semicolon here, Okay, I think you got it now. Let me okay, I think this is okay now. Yes. Okay, let's move on, guys. I want you to go to the next line, and I'm going to use the if statement. If limit, okay, if limit statement by value parenthesis single quote colon current page current pagination page, go after the closing, put a comma space, parentheses int, go after the closing parentheses. Now I got get, okay, bracket single quote. Let me expand this so that you can see what I'm doing. Okay, bracket single quote and put, now this is the current pagination page again, and I want you to go after the closing bracket, put the time parentheses int, and after that go comment per pagination page, okay, put a comma space, called PDO like this, and PDO, okay, PDO param int, and put a semicolon after that. Okay, and take your time to code this line. Now next, this is where I'm going to bind the page ID to our query. Okay, and go to the next line and bring this up. Let me bring, okay, make this smaller. I don't know if you see it. Okay, bring this up and go after that. Next line, this is where I'm going to bind, okay, the page ID to our query. Okay, for this I'm going to use my statement. I'm going to say statement by value parentheses single quote colon, okay, page ID, go after the closing single quote, put a comma space, get bracket single quote page ID, and go after the closing bracket. Let me expand this so that you can see what I'm doing. Okay, and put a comma here. I'm going to say PDO. Let's say capitalize PDO. Param int and semicolon. Go to the next line. I'm going to say statement. Okay. Statement execute like this. Semicolon. Next line. Now I'm going to call my comment equal statement fetch all parentheses PDO. Okay. Now go to the next line. Here, this is where I'm going to get the overall rating and the total number of comment. Now I'm going to say get total number of comment. I'm going to use my my statement. I'm going to say statement equal PDO prepared parentheses single quote, select count, okay, as total comment from my table name comment, where page ID equal question mark, and approved equal 1, and put a semicolon here. Okay. Now, next, let me, I think you're done with this part. Now, what I'm going to do, now after next line, I want you to go to the next line. I'm going to execute this statement. Okay. Go to the next line. Let me make this smaller. Okay. I'm going to say statement execute parentheses bracket single quote, no, not single quote, parentheses bracket, and get bracket single quote at this time, page ID. I want you to put a semicolon here. Go to the next line, and this is I'm going to call comment underscore info equal my statement fetch parentheses PDO like this. Okay, semicolon. Okay, now I want you to bring this closing up, and I'm going to create, because I say good. Okay, I'm going to say else exit single quote, no page ID specified. No page ID specified, semicolon. Okay, now, and I want you to bring the closing PHP up, bring it up. Okay, now I want you, this is the end of okay, this is the end of PHP. I want you to go after, this is the closing PHP. Okay, this is the opening. Let me show you the opening. Is the opening here, and oops, now is the closing, guys. Okay, go after the closing PHP. I want you to create a div, a class called comment underscore header, comment header. Okay, now this is for the form. Okay, inside of it put a spam, and the first one I'm going to add a class called total. Okay, let me expand this so that you can see what I'm doing. Now, okay, now you see. And here, after here, from the middle, I'm going to say I'm going to pass a PHP here. I'm going to pass it like this. Okay, equal. comment underscore comments info, okay, bracket single quote, total comment, and after the closing bracket here, put a question mark. Now close the PHP. So we open it here. We have to close in here. Closing like this. This is the opening. Now is the closing. And go after that. Put a space. I want to put comments. Okay. And I want now go to the next line. Let me bring this. Okay. Go to the next line. This is where I'm going to create my form. Okay. I'm going to say form. I don't need any class action and so on for form. Leave it like this. Go inside of form. And I'm going to create my label first. This is my first label for sort by. Okay. Label. And after that, I'm going to create a select. A class called select. I don't need the class. Okay, class. I need the class. I need the name. Call it sort by, and I need an ID. ID equal sort by. Okay, and go inside of the select. I'm going to say command option. Okay, I'm going to say option value. I'm going to leave it blank. For value in option, I'm going to leave it blank. Go next. Disable like this, and after disable, I'm going to pass my PHP. After disable, follow me like this. Okay, and equal not is set. Okay, parentheses get bracket single quote sort by. Okay, so after sort by, I want you to go here after the closing parentheses here. I want to I have to say space question mark space single quote selected. Okay, and after selected, the closing single quote space colon space single quote, and I have to close I have to close the PHP. This is where I open it. I have to close it here. Oh, and then I got option, and here maybe something is missing. Oh, let me see. I got option value disable. Okay, not is set. Question mark selected. Okay, and let me see. I got here. Okay, option. Okay, this is the I need. Okay, I need. Oh, something is missing for the closing first option. Okay, this is the closing option, but something is missing here. This tag for the closing part. Oh, this goes after the closing PHP here. Yes, now it's okay. And from the middle here, this is where I'm going to say sort on the sort space by. Okay, now to go to the next line. Let me bring this, make it smaller. Okay, I'll go to the next line, and I will have to create another option. Okay, that's what okay, leave value blank. Now for the second one, the first one I say value blank. For my second option, I'm going to say vote, okay? And after vote, this is where I'm open my PHP here, and I said equal at this time is set parentheses get, okay, bracket single quote sort by, okay, sort by. Now after the closing here, I say space 2% get bracket single quote sort by again, and go after the closing bracket here equal space single quote, and put vote, and after the closing here space, put a question mark, space single quote selected, okay, and after closing selected, put colon space single quote, and after the single quote, this is where I'm going to close my my PHP, and then from the middle here, this is where I put vote and closing options. Okay, now I think you're done with this line of code, and go to the next line, next options. For value, after the first one value blank, the second one we said vote, the third one I'm going to say value newest, and after that I open my PHP equal is set parentheses get bracket single quote sort by, and do the same thing, space $1% space get bracket single quote sort by, and go after the closing equal space single quote. Okay, now inside of the single quote, I'm going to put a newest. After the closing space, I'm going to put a question mark space single quote selected, okay, go after here, put a colon space single quote, and after the single quote, this is where I'm going to close my PHP, and from the middle here I'm going to put newest. Okay, go to the next line, option, at this time value oldest, okay, and after that no space, open your PHP equal is set parentheses get bracket single quote sort by, go after the closing parentheses $1% space get bracket single quote sort by, go after here equal space single quote, and put oldest, and after oldest here question mark space single quote selected, and after selected space, put a colon space single quote, and after the single quote, this is where I'm going to close my PHP, and from the middle here I'm going to put oldest. Okay, And this is it, guys. Okay. All right. So this is the close selected. This part is done. I can bring this, make it smaller. I can make it smaller for you. I don't know if it's too small. Okay. Now, after form, the closing form right here, I want you to go to the next line, and I need an anchor tag, href, and after that, oops, I'm going to pass a class called write underscore write comment underscore btn. Write comment, this is for the button, okay? And I'm going to say data comment ID equal single quote -1, and from the middle here, let me expand it so that you can see what I'm doing. Okay, and next after that, I'm going to say, yeah, write comment. Okay, and after that, okay, this is okay. Don't forget to save everything, guys. Okay, now after the div, this closing div right here, after this closing div, I want you to go after that, skip 2 lines, and this is where I'm going to say PHP equal show write comment form, like that, and put a question mark and close, not question mark, close your PHP. Okay, go to the next line. I'm going to create a div class called comment wrapper. Okay, let me expand this, let me make it bigger for you. Okay, and this is where I'm going to, this is the last part for this for comments.php div class. Okay, div class comment wrapper. I'm going to wrapper, put everything inside of it, inside of the wrapper, anchor tag, and add a class here called show more underscore comment, and show more. And after that, this is the, I say show write comment form. Okay, show write comment form, and this is the div comment wrapper. And oh no, okay, this line we can let cut this out. This is a PHP equal, add this line of code instead. Add this line of code instead. Comments, comma, it should be comment and filters. Filters, yes. And close your PHP right here. Okay, this div is done. And go to the next line. Now, I'm going to say, yeah, PHP if count parentheses, if count comments, okay, if count comments go after here is let me see, it's greater than, if count comments is, it's greater than comments info, bracket single quote, for the total comment, go here, put a colon, and leave it like this. Now go to the next line. I need an anchor tag, okay, and this, okay, add a class called show more comment. Show more comment, and from the middle here I'm going to say show more, and this is if, and I have to and use okay, close my end if. I'm going to say PHP and if, like this. Okay guys, this is done for comment.php, this page. Now we can try to we will try to run our program, and don't forget to go here and save all. Okay, now let me go here and refresh everything. You don't see anything yet. You know why? It's because we don't have a CSS. We don't add a CSS. We need a comment.css in order to see some result. So this is where I'm going to stop. This is a tutorial. Don't forget, this is tutorial part 2. This is part 2. And in the next one, for part 3, this is where I'm going to add the CSS. This is comment.css. Okay. Let me see. Yeah. If we go back to index.html, this is it right here. Okay. This is comment.css. For part 3, this is where I'm going to add a comment.css, and then you will see it. You will see some progress. Let me go back in case you did not finish yet. Okay. This is where I'm going to stop, guys. Thank you for watching. If you are new, don't forget to subscribe. And this is see you for part 3. All right. Thank you. Bye bye.